Trial close questions. These are great questions. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. One of the listeners came up with say, hey, could you talk more about trial close questions? Do you feel they're important? Do you feel they're useful? They are incredibly useful. They can be done poorly and very cheesily. You might say like, the used car salesman goes, what would it take to put you into a car today? That's really not a trial close, but it's like, I guess it is. But it's like the problem with that is the person who's coming in doesn't know, right? They're going through a journey. They're walking through a process. They have feelings and confusion. They may know what type of car they want, the model or the make or something, but they're not there yet. They haven't test driven yet. They don't know what features and capabilities they want. They may know the color, but they don't know whether they want it new or used, buy or lease. They got a lot of decisions to make. And when you ask that question too early, it destroys the deal. It gets cheesy and it's not useful. But if you ask a question near the end where they go for a test drive, they like the color, they got the features they want, they have everything that they want, and then you say, well, if we can get you a really good price, is this something you want to do today, or do you want to come back, or where are you ready to make forward motion? That's the time to ask it. And it's incredibly powerful. And if you don't ask these questions, you're missing a lot of the sale. Meaning that I find them always very powerful to get the person to think about the next step before they've thought about the next step. For instance, I sold software forever, and you'd always be, they'd always ask for help, support, evaluation copies, free training, free consulting, free integration, all of this stuff. And that was good because it gave you a reason to stay engaged with them, to communicate with them. The bad people would go in and show them everything that first time and then try and close at the end. And I've had so many managers tell me to do that. And I go, it doesn't work that way. They need time to socialize it within the organization, to get all the stakeholders involved, to work through all the issues, to get budget allocated, to get managers buy-in. It's not like you're selling $1,000 thing that they can just put on their credit card and boom, you got the order. That's not how it works. You have to date before you get engaged. You have to get engaged before you get married. It is that type of process. And the funny stories, I can't tell you the number of people where one of the partners was basically just driving the process, going on a date every Saturday night. Every Saturday night became date night. And all of a sudden, a year and a half later, they're walking down the aisle, and one of the people says, wasn't that attracted to him? He's not that interesting. But they're closing the deal. Whether that's good or bad, that's a different question. But that is how people make decisions. That's what science is teaching us. People do not make big decisions fast. So you have to know the steps. You have to guide them. Now, if it's two virgins having sex for the first time, where both people want to do something, but no one knows what to do, everything feels good, but it's not really working, that's a different thing. Someone has to know. And eventually they'll figure it out, of course. But if someone knows what to do, it goes a lot smoother. And that's what I try and teach in the Maverick Selling Method and in the Brutal Truth About Sales and Selling podcast is these are the steps. Figure them out. Put them into Pipedrive so you can see them, start to visualize them, start to understand what would get people to move to the next step, which is the trial close. The trial close is if we were able to show you that it integrated with your current system, what would you like to do after that? Now, that's a decent trial close because now they're thinking about what do we have to do next? And maybe it's just planting the seed. But the real trial close is if we're able to do that, can we get in front of your manager within 2 weeks? And you say, well, let's put something tentative on the calendar. And the trick that I learned early in my career was to get everything on the calendar. This is before there were electronic calendars. This is before when people would pull out their day timers. And if they didn't write it down, or if I didn't take my card and take 2 cards, one for me and one for them, write down the date and time and give it to them, have them put it on the calendar when they get back to the office, confirm with an email what happened. the deal would drift. It's like dating. If you don't have that next Saturday night date, someone else is going to get it. Or all of a sudden, it's just going to disappear. They're going to go out with their friends. They're going to, watch TV. They're going to wash their hair. Whatever it is they're going to do, they're not going to do it with you. That is what selling is. It's like, it's not being a control freak about it. It's knowing that you have to do it. So here's a 4-step process. Here it is. 4 steps. I usually have 5, but I worked hard last night and I got it down to 4. You have to know what the next steps are. They can suggest others, and it doesn't have to be rigid, but there has to be a next step. It can't be too big in that it won't get done and it'll get canceled, and it can't be too small that it's like the same meeting over and over again, the Barney meetings. We like you, you like me. They can't do that. It's got to be something bigger than the smallest one, and it's you have to sense from the other person how fast they want to move. And it's okay if it's 2 or 3 weeks out. The key is that you have it, because you can always move it up. But if you don't schedule it, you're going to spend 2 or 3 weeks scheduling it. It's going to be, how does your week look? That's why we have things like Acuity scheduling, so that you can share your calendar and get it done. Because the pop-ins and the cold calls and the interrupts, they're not as effective as they used to be. It used to work. But today, people have all these guards up, and if it's not on their calendar, it usually doesn't get done, especially the higher up you move in the organization. So number 1 is you got to know what the next step is. Number 2 is you got to know what they want. If they don't want anything, then you don't have the quid pro quo, the give and take. You don't have something you can exchange for that meeting. So you want to elicit. And this is a mistake a lot of people do. They answer every question. They think like it's a quiz show. Hey, I got the answer. I got it honest. I can answer that. No. The beauty of an unanswered question is a reason to get back together. And yes, it doesn't mean you don't answer any questions. It means, you go, I can give you the quick answer is, yes, we do that. The long-term answer is, let me show you how. Let me get a couple of examples, and can we get together next Friday at 2? That's what you want to do. You don't want to play games, but you also got to understand you are playing a game, meaning that you don't want to be childish or pretentious or false, but you also don't want to open the kimono and shock the hell out of them and have it die. You got to understand that it is this dance, and you see this all the time. It's like, why can't we just go into a hotel room or go into a hotel and just, flash our iPhone has our ID photographed, and it's like there's a process that people go through, a give and take, a check and balance thing that is it's just natural in us. We don't trust that well. Think of it today. Why do we have to go to a voting booth to vote? Oh, there'll be voter fraud. Oh, come on. What's the difference between taking a picture of your license and a voting app on your phone and sending it in? Yeah, proves you have your license, proves who you are, proves who you voted for, and you can change it up until the end of that day, and that's it. Why do we have to do it? Because we want that proof. We're very primitive about that, and that's how your clients are thinking. They're very primitive. They want to walk through a process. They want to build trust, and that takes time. And what you don't want to do, if you do it too fast, you're going to die. If you do it too slow, it's going to take forever. So you just want to keep that thing going. So number 2 is know what they want. Number 3 is construct a trial close. So if I prove to you what you want, whatever that is, would you be comfortable meeting or taking action at this date? If it's not on the calendar, it's not a yes. It's a maybe. It's a no decision. What I say about no decision? No decision is no, no. That's what no decision is. No. It's not maybe. You're at you can pretend you're at maybe, but there's no PO. There's no commission check. There's no money coming in the bank. It's no. Okay. Number 4, get it on the calendar. That is the close you want. You're not getting the deal that day. You're not getting a PO. Getting it on the calendar as a next step, giving them an out. Hey, if it changes, we can always readjust it. So it's not looking like, Even if it's a 5-minute phone call. Let's just have a touch point, get it on the calendar, and they'll wiggle. And the wiggling is a sign that something's going wrong. You say, no, just drop me a call. Yeah, I'll do that too. But in case, you don't get it, call up or get their text or their cell phone number. If they give you the cell phone number, that's about as good as on the calendar, meaning that now you can text. And texting today is the what cold calling used to be before. People always used to pick up their desk phone. They don't do it anymore. If people don't text you back, you know you get a dead deal. Check out the show notes for all the good stuff. Keep the questions coming. I'm working hard on this. Please rate and review the podcast, would you? Connect up with me on LinkedIn. Don't be one of those selfish salespeople who don't share the podcast. I work hard for you here. All I ask you is just give me a little like, a little share on LinkedIn or Twitter. Oh, that's all. That's all I ask for. Thanks for listening.